The Romantic era was a time when artists, especially composers and musicians, became more than just creators of music. They were seen as emotional storytellers, visionaries, and even celebrities. Unlike the previous eras that followed strict rules, Romantic artists valued personal expression, passion, and individuality. This presentation will show how these artists lived boldly, created powerful music, and left a lasting impact on the world of art. This is Syra Abello, and today I will be covering a few slides of today's topic. The Romantic era was a movement in the arts, literature, and music in Europe that spanned from 1800s until the middle of the century. In music, the generally accepted date started approximately from 1820s to 1900s. This movement was a reaction against the previous movement, Classicism. So this era focused more on emotion and imagination, moving away from the strict rules of Classicism. So in this era, they had the privilege to choose what clothes to wear. Just like fashion show our personality, Romantic composers used unique styles to express themselves. Each one had their own musical signature or sound. Composers used poetry as inspiration for many of their compositions, both for vocal and instrumental music. Program music is usually exclusively applicable only to instrumental music, wherein it depicts non-musical sources. These sources may vary from events, themes, places, poems, or passages from literary works. Moving on with the artists during this period, starting off with Franz Liszt. Franz Liszt was a famous and talented pianist who wove crowns with his skills and personality. He became a celebrity by being both musically and brilliant and full of flair.
Niccolò Paganini was the greatest violinist during his time. He had a great influence on the development of violin playing technique like Liszt. He traveled extensively, causing sensations everywhere he performed. His feats were so astounding that it was rumored that he was in league with the devil. Famous work of Niccolò Paganini was 24 Caprices for solo violin. Robert Schumann. Robert Schumann was gifted both in music and literature. Initially, he wanted to focus on a career as a pianist, but when one of the fingers of his hands got injured, he shifted to composing and writing articles for music journals. Robert Schumann was a German composer and music critic known for deeply emotional, lyrical piano music and song cycles. Frédéric Chopin. He established himself as a pianist and as a teacher of the piano, and spent most of his life in Paris. He is popularly called the poet of the piano, for it is in this instrument that Chopin extensively composed. He is highly influential for his unique style and harmonic innovation. Johannes Brahms. Johannes Brahms, he had a lifelong friendship with Robert Schumann and his wife Clara. Later on, he settled in Vienna. Brahms composed a vast amount of music, especially chamber music. He also composed many songs and piano miniatures. What is special about Brahms was that he rejected the new ideas and innovations of Romanticism. Johannes Brahms was a German composer and pianist. Brahms never married because he has devoted much of his life to composition and performance. Felix Mendelssohn. Felix Mendelssohn was born in Hamburg, Germany, grandson of the distinguished Enlightenment thinker Moses Mendelssohn. He was gifted not only in music, but also in painting. Besides being a composer, he was also a conductor and a pianist. He was associated to spearheading a revival of the music of the great Baroque composer.
The term modern has become a multifaceted word having various meanings and implications in different fields. It may refer to a time in history, a way of thinking, scientific and technological advances, a style of fashion and attitude. The turn of 20th century is generally dividing line between the Romantic era and modern music. However, there were already changing musical style germinating during the late 180s that were the beginnings of new emerging idioms. In Europe, The 20th century began in positive note and majority of the population was jubilant for a bright future. Feelings of advancement, prosperity, expansion, and optimism were apparent all throughout the continent, and the population dramatically increased as well. Development in technology, engineering, and medicine improved human lives. However, this was all changed by the two world war deeply affected people's outlook, especially in music and arts. So next is Impressionism. Began in France at around the early 1860s and was reaction towards realistic portrayals of subjects. Impressionism but emphasis on fleeting, momentary impressions rather than focusing objectively on structure or form found within an artwork. Some common theme of impressionistic music are water fountains, cloud, mist, vapor, reflection, and moonlight. Next is minimalism. In 1960s, a tendency towards simplicity in music was founded by several American composers. Their compositions were not dramatic, and changes within the music are realized generally in longer period of the time. In a careful, staggered way, as the name suggests, hope to bring back music to its most basic element. The foremost figures in the style were Steve Rich, Terry Riley, Lamonte Young, and Philip Glass. Next is electronic music. The advent of electronic instruments, notably the synthesizer, recording equipments, and other innovation gave rise to music which was not derived or created from known standard music instrument, whatever from Eastern or Western origin. Composers now had vast palette of sound to choose from, such as engine rev of a motorbike or a buzz of doorbell, to sound made by ambulance whizzing, sound editing, and other transformational processes such as splicing, masking, and overdubbing, used widely in this composition. These composers are Melton Babbitt, Caroline Stockhausen, and Luciano Berio. Next is jazz. Originally from US, jazz music has taken many forms and borrowed from combination of influences such as African rhythm, black, spiritual, plantation dance music, and even European classical music. Black American musicians were the first performers of jazz. Improvisation is musical skill wherein a performer creates new musical extemporaneously. Syncopation is an element in jazz where rhythmic patterns, beats, and accent are arranged in irregular and unexpected places. The earliest origin is because centers of this musical idiom, especially New Orleans, Chicago, jazz age. Subgenres of jazz: acid jazz, bebop, cold jazz, swing, bluegrass, and punk jazz.